Circumference. So the circumference is basically, it's like the perimeter of circles and ellipses. Or another way to think about it, it's the distance around circles or ellipses. Right, so circles or ellipses. Now, there's one formula that we can look at. So the circumference, which we'll just say C, is equal to 2 pi r, which we'll go over what each is. Or the circumference could just be the diameter, we'll just show as d, times pi. So let's go over what these mean. Well, the radius, right? So the radius is from the center of the circle, and then it's the distance to the edge. So let's go from the center of a circle to the edge of a circle is a distance, which we call the radius. So another way to think about it is if we have this is the center, well, that is the radius. Now, what's the diameter? Well, the diameter is really just double the radius to get the distance. So it's another distance from one edge, right, of the circle to the other edge, going through the center. Or it's 2 radius. So what does this look like? Looks like that. That is the diameter. So it's just, right, the distance from this edge to this edge is this whole thing right here, and that's the diameter. And it goes right through the center. Now, pi. Pi is a number. But how we get the pi number, which is about 3.14, and then it just kind of continues on. But how we get that number is actually, it's a ratio of the circumference of a circle to the diameter of the circle. So it's a certain ratio. So anytime you have a circumference and you have the diameter of a circle, any size, you're going to get, with this ratio, you're going to get 3.14 and continue on. So, and just kind of continues. These numbers repeat through infinity. It never ends. So that is what each one is. And then pi, right, looks like that, which is very important. So we've kind of covered everything in this. So the circumference, right, is equal to 2 pi r. So you can also think about it. If you did 2r, well, if you have 2 radius, you also get the, right, you get the diameter. So that's how you kind of come up with the 2 pi r or the diameter pi. So it kind of depends on what your question has, whether you have the radius or you have the diameter. You can use either one. You're probably going to see it like this. This is how people know it as 2 pi r. But let's begin. Let's look at example 1. So we're going to find the circumference of the base of the lode below if the diameter is 15 meters. So we have the diameter here. So we're going to look at circumference is equal to the diameter pi. But also we can look at it like this to show it's the same thing, right? So we have this circumference is equal to Well, we know 15 meters is the diameter, so we're going to put that in. So we go 15 pi. But if we want to know what the radius is, well, it's 15 divided by 2 because that's the diameter, so you need to divide it by 2. So 15 divided by 2, which is 7.5. So we have 2 pi 7.5, which gets us 2 times 7.5 is just 15 pi. So let's get our calculators out, and I'm going to show you something. So we can do pi, so what we do is we go 15 times this pi button, right, and that's our pi. And what does that equal? Well, it equals 47.12. But what if we did pi, which is equal to 3.14 instead? So what if we use this number here? Let's see what that is equal to, just to show you. So 47, that was the last number. So 15 times 3.14, what do we get? Well, we get 47.1. So when you are doing these problems, and it's just the distance, so we can just keep it as meters, so just m. Now, you could do this, or you could put this in wall map, and it should take both. If it doesn't, just let your instructor know and they can fix that. But if there's any mistakes, always let them know. But anyways, so also to show you, if we use pi here, this is what we got, which makes sense. It just had a lot more numbers, so it accounts for more. This one, we just use 3.14, which is also very common to do, and both are very acceptable. So now let's do another example. Example 2. A fountain is being put in downtown. It has a radius of 12 feet. What is the circumference of the fountain? So let's go ahead and just draw this fountain. So if we have a radius, then that's 12, right? So our radius is equal to 12. So let's go ahead and look at the circumference as 2 pi r. Because we know we need to, because we have the radius here. So in the previous example, we just showed it with the 2 just to show you to get to the same answer. Now, 2 pi r, if we know 12 goes into r, let's go ahead and do that. So we go 2 pi, and then r, which is 12. And I'm also going to show it like this, 2 as 3.14 times 12, just to continue to show you that it's what it looks like. So let's get our calculators out. So we go 2 times pi times 12. And what do we get? Well, we get 75.39. We're going to round to the nearest hundredth. That 9 will then go up. So we actually have 75.4. Now, if you need to go back to how we go into rounding, there's always going to be videos, so definitely make sure you understand how to do rounding because it's really important to these questions. Now, let's go ahead and look at the circumference of the fountain with 3.14. So we have 2 times 3.14 times 12, and we get 75.36. Right, and so there we have it. So you could answer either one into WAMAP and it will accept it. And if it said round to the nearest hundredth, you could put 75.40. The reason why we left out the 0 is it's understood that 75.4 is the same as 75.40. Right, it's like 40 cents, but you don't need to have the 0 because it's just understood in terms of decimals.